Oof. Hello. Would you like to have a roll in the hay? It's fun. Roll, roll, roll in the hay.
In the 1974 classic Young Frankenstein, legendary comedy writer and director Mel Brooks kept the gags coming. All these years later, he's still at it. He talks with our man in Hollywood, Ben Mankiewicz.
Can I want to clear something up? Mm-hmm. I don't get paid for this, do I? No, just curious. Yeah. I'm used to getting paid.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
For the record, Mel Brooks did not get paid, but he still delivered the comedy, just as he's been doing for nearly a full century, pretty much since day one.
I knew from a very early age, I knew that comedy was my business. Comedy was my thing. It was me. Because people would look down at my crib. I was only a few months old, and they would laugh. And I said, that's it. That's it. That's what I want.
When did you know that you were funny, that you could make people laugh?
In school, I guess. You know, my neck still hurts from being taken by the neck to the principal's office because I was terrible. Every time I would do my impression of Boris Karloff, the monster, James Whale's fabulous monster, saying this word as a server at a dinner table. He'd say, antipasto. You know, I do the eyes too, I help it, you know. And just antipasto, and that was it. And it was so great, the rest of the class would laugh. They didn't know why they were laughing.
We've all been laughing ever since. As a writer and director, Mel has created some of the sharpest and most irreverent comedies of all time.
Throw out your hands, stick out your tush.
Blazing Saddles.
If you're blue and you
later the same year, Young Frankenstein.
why don't you go where fashion sits?
Plus History of the World Part 1.
The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 15. Wait. 10 commandments.
And, of course, The Producers, which earned Mel an Oscar for Best Screenplay.
Don't be stupid, be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party.
The story of a Broadway musical about Adolf Hitler.
Will the dancing Hitlers please wait in the wings? We are only seeing singing Hitlers.
You know, Hitler's made me a very good living, you know. I'm one of the few Jews that has survived Hitler well, you know.
Only Mel Brooks could get away with having this bottle stopper in his home.
Someone sent it to me. I get a lot of Hitler paraphernalia, a lot of Hitler stuff, you know.
Born Melvin Kaminsky in Brooklyn in 1926, Mel is now 93 and as sharp as ever.
You're smarter than you look, but, you know.
Thank you.
And keenly observant.
You could have been a star, but you wear glasses.
So where are we going here, Mel? Going downstairs?
You were going, I want to show you something down.
Comedy is Mel Brooks's life, but his love,
And that's Anne, miracle worker.
will always be her. Anne Bancroft. To the world, she was one of the great stage and screen actors of her generation, with astounding range.
W-A-T-E-R, water. It has a name.
From The Miracle Worker, which earned her an Oscar as Helen Keller's teacher, Annie Sullivan,
Sit down, Benjamin.
to The Graduate, playing Dustin Hoffman's married seductress, Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
But to Mel, she was his soulmate.
She's always pushed me. She's always been an inspiration. She always thought I was talented. She believed in me right from the beginning as a songwriter as well as a screenplay writer or whatever I wanted to do. She said, you can do it.
On the surface, they presented as a Hollywood odd couple. But the truth is, there was so much in common. Both grew up the children of immigrants, a Jewish boy from Brooklyn, and an Italian girl from the Bronx.
She was Anne Marno for a while. She kept the Italian thing. She was Anna Marie Louise Italiano. Italiano's her real name, man. I think it was Darryl Zanuck gave her a list of people, and she said, I like Bancroft.
And Brooks really liked Bancroft, long before the day they met.
Let's go back to 1961. How'd you meet her?
1961, February 5th.
At a taping of a Perry Como TV special, Anne was rehearsing. Mel, 4 years removed from his long run as a comedy writer for Sid Caesar's TV shows, walked over with a friend to watch.
And she's wearing a white gown, and she has jet black shiny hair and the most beautiful eyes and the most beautiful figure. And it was just like, I said, kismet, luck, what? Anyway, I'm in love. I know I'm just struck by her. I'm struck and I'm in love. She finishes the song. It's a rehearsal, so you can talk. And I scream out, Anne Bancroft, I love you. She said, who are you? I said, I'm Mel Brooks. She said, I got your record. You know, I did a record with Carl Ryan, a 2,000-year-old man. So what are you doing? She said, I have to see somebody at the William Morris agency. I said, Bernie said, I got to see him too. I went with her. I got a cab. I went, she liked my whistle. Yeah, it's a good whistle.
Then, completely smitten, Mel began to pursue her, rather relentlessly.
Every night, wherever she went, I would show up, you know, by the fourth or fifth time, I'd say, it's kismet. We just seem to be going, you know, she said, you know, both, it's not kismet.
She told her analyst, let's speed this process up. I've met the right man.
Yeah.
Like she knew too.
It was just nobody else. She had everything. She had looks, she had brains, she had purpose.
Mel and Anne married in 1964.
Yeah, there's Max.
Their son, Max, a successful writer himself, he wrote World War Z, grew up in this house.
What do you recall of what your parents were like together?
My answer to that is I need some sort of context. I need to compare it to something else. And it was only later when I got out into the world, I realized that most people are not as animated and most people are not as funny.
Right here you see To Be or Not to Be, New York Times. It must have been a good review or it wouldn't be here.
In 1983, they starred together in To Be or Not to Be, which opens with an idea Anne had to sing a duet in another language.
Jak się topić, to się topić, sweet Georgie Brown.
You know, she learned that song in Polish. Jak się topić, to się topić, sweet Georgie Brown. She learned it, she taught it to me, she drilled it. She drilled me every day until I could actually do it in Polish with her.
Oh, I didn't even notice you got her in parentheses up there.
Yeah,
in the poster.
I still have her in parentheses. But she began to like it.
Anne was with him during Blazing Saddles, Mel's bold comedy about a black sheriff in a racist Western town.
You think Blazing Saddles would succeed today? Could it get made today?
I don't know. I don't think so because I went too far with the use of the N-word, with cowboys sitting around a camp farting. But, I mean, the movie's outrageous. And a lot of people, you can't blame them for saying, never should be made, terrible. But that's what I do. I make the things that nobody else would make.
What does that tell you about the state of comedy today?
Well, for me, they're a little too strict about, what's in bad taste and what's in good taste. And I think MF, the MF word, it's purposeful. It has grit. It has truth and grit. And you can't shower people with truth and grit if you're going to be careful about stepping out of the lines. You got to step outside the lines. And I think that the political correctness is too, I'm sorry to say it, is too politically correct. She made some very good pictures with some very good directors. This one is Mezza Mezza.
Mel continues to write and perform.
But he's always thinking back to his wife.
Here she is, making some money doing actually a beer commercial. It was not a good beer.
They were inseparable for 41 years until Anne died of cancer in 2005. She was 73.
I think my dad is at a time in his life when he's looking back on all he has achieved. And it's no small truth that much of his achievements are because of my mother. My father's the first one to tell you that she saved him.
Can you see it?
14 years after her death, Mel wants Anne's legacy celebrated, and he wants it seen.
I just thought, before I die, I'd like to see a couple of her movies put together in a box set. There's a lot of great stuff here. If you get it in advance, you can get it for $59. When it hits the streets in a couple of months, it's $80. You want to save a couple of bucks and see the greatest performance from the greatest actress ever? $59, Amazon.
A pitch for 8 Anne Bancroft movies from the funny man who knew her best,
She could be the leading lady or an aide-de-camp. She could help people quietly on their side, pushing them. She could just be on stage with the spotlight and star in something. She was a great gift. She was a gift from God.